What's up, everybody, and welcome to Real Estate Moguls. My name is Findlay-Shirras, and on today's show, we're going to have a guest from down under.
Yeah.
All right. His name is Peter Schravemade.
That's pretty close.
How do I pronounce that?
Schravemade.
Schravemade?
Yeah,
Schravemade?
yeah.
Schravemade? People ever call you Pistol Pete?
Yeah, I do get that. Yes, I do.
Okay. He is the manager of strategic relationships at Box Brownie, the online hub for all things digital and with a real focus on photography and all things photos. So if you like property porn, then I think you definitely check out some of the stuff they do with photos. They look amazing. One of the things I wanted that we're going to get into is virtual staging, because that's a really cool tech that I want to know some of the applications that you guys have get into, and floor plans and rendering, like some really cool stuff that the company is doing, and you know, you really can make a dump look like a palace.
Yeah.
He's obviously it's an Australian company, is where they're based, but they operate all over the world. So you might have some insights into how different markets work. So it's a really cool guest to talk about that. And at the bottom line, Peter says his mission is to enhance property marketing and basically turn crap into eye candy. And my mission is to help you learn about Box Brownie's success and some of the deal making and expertise that Peter's had in growing the company all over the world. All right, so let's get started. Thanks very much, Peter.
Thank you
for joining us.
That's a hell of an introduction.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is, I mean, you have a cool profile, and one of the things I want to start with has nothing to do with real estate.
Right.
I've never seen a person so far, when I've looked into all the people in real estate, who is involved in the Department of Justice and Attorney General, and you've got this peace thing going on. So, tell me about that experience. And that might even explain kind of who you are as a person.
Well, I think I know the American term is a notary clerk, I believe. Are they people that certify documents, etc.?
Yeah.
So there's a course you can do if you're an upstanding citizen.
Yeah.
Most people who know me will laugh at that, but there is a course that you can do through the Attorney General's office in Australia to become what they call a Justice of the Peace, which sounds amazing. But basically all it means is people can bring me documents to verify. You know, it might be something like, I need to verify a change in name for a marriage certificate, or it could be a transfer of a bond to a client, or transfer of a land title to somebody else. I'm the guy that is.
How'd you get in? Like, what made? Because you were in real estate prior to that, and then you got into this, and then now you're back in real estate. So.
Well, no. The Justice of the Peace thing ties up quite closely to real estate. The last company I was in, I was the operations manager of a hotel franchise. And attached to that hotel franchise, we had things like a mortgage broker, we had a rental company, and an investment property sales division. And in those three divisions, quite often clients would need documents verified in order to send them off or expedite the process. So it was largely convenience based, but not solely that. You know, I suppose it's also something I can give back to the community, and so. I can go and sit at a table, if I so choose, in the shopping centre, and the community can bring in documents to sign. It's a free service.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to take money for it. It's just to save the courts being ground up in verifying documentation. So by the time things get to either a court or an official office, they are verified. There's a particular stamp they've got on it with a date and my license number that's attached to it. Yeah.
Now, why don't you also give people a brief, history of your, path in career and particularly real estate, because you've been doing it for 15 plus years.
Yeah, well, it'd be a bit longer than that. I started in real estate when I was 19, and I'm now 41. So
good.
Yeah, so it was. Thank you.
You do.
I don't get that.
Fun. It makes me feel fresh.
I'll have it. Yes, I'll take that. So I suppose that's 22 years. And I started out in a small country town in Australia called Rockhampton. Rockhampton was, I suppose, my birthplace, and I had been to university and come back at that stage. And my brother, it was a property developer, and he said, the biggest issue I've got at the moment is I've got a whole heap of agents who want to sell my product, but I'm not getting legitimate feedback, and they don't know how to market a product. And he said, how would you feel about, I've got an open house coming up this weekend, how would you feel about sitting on the open house? So I ended up selling the property and then selling another one. And it kind of snowballed. Like
These new developments, like new construction?
It was new construction that we're talking about, yeah. So that became, like, I became quite good at that. And my younger brother, who was I suppose the property developer's accountant at that stage, he loved it because he would get honest feedback as to what was going. So, you know, I would tell him, we only had 3 people through today. He'd ask me questions. Who are those people? What do they do? Et cetera, et cetera. But not to extend this any longer. I went from that through to becoming involved in commercial sales, which was something that appealed to me, both in tandem. So I was actually selling nearly 200 houses a year as an agent, and then also doing commercial and commercial leasing on top of that.
Whoa.
So from there, I got...
And when was this? Like what year?
This was about 2003, from 2001 to 2004.
I mean, there's way more tech nowadays to help an agent do that.
Correct.
Back then, doing 200 properties, selling 200 properties a year.
Well, what happened in Australia, 2 things happened. Number one, an online aggregator came on board. And what I mean by an aggregator is someone who draws all the listings together. Here in America, you'd call that like a Zillow or Realtor.com or Realtor.ca if you're in Canada. Yeah, so in Australia, the name for that is realestate.com.au. That was the birth of them in 2001. And what that meant is that investors from afar could easily look at product that we had in Rockhampton. It was the first time that had happened. The internet had been around, but there was no portal. So I was all over that like a fat kid on a cupcake. I was absolutely owning that space to the extent that what was happening, not in the investment property market, which is what I started in, but I identified that there were these houses that were $200,000 to $300,000, and they were rented for like $500 to $600 per week. So the return on that was like 10% minimum. Yeah. And so these guys in Melbourne who couldn't get that return down south would jump on a plane, and religiously I'd pick up a troop of them on Monday morning, and they'd go and place contracts, and we'd be done by Wednesday, and then I'd have to go out and relist. So it became this, wow. I really identified that the investment property market was moving, and the whole market in Rockhampton just shot as a result because of the internet, because of the new tech had come about that actually gave me access to that. Also, it was when the transition came from using film to digital cameras. That's how long I've been in real estate. I started shooting on film.
The Polaroids.
Yeah, that's how old I am. Well, not the Polaroids. We actually use film.
And then you go to get the negatives.
Get it developed, and then I'd send it off. Like back in those days, I'd have to get 2 to 3 copies of the same picture. So I'd put one in the window, I'd put one in a listing book, and I'd carry one with me. So if people wanted to see the houses, that was the way you did it. Like, it sounds like an archaic thing, but this is only 20 years ago we're talking. So whilst I feel my age sometimes when I look around,
are there any other things you've noticed that you're like, oh, thank God this thing has been invented?
Yeah, CRMs. Like, back in the day, keeping a note paper book, or running around with a handful of coins because we didn't have mobile phones. And I suppose mobile phones is a huge tool these days.
Yeah.
But I have to run and jump into a payphone booth to make a phone call to such and such.
Coins.
Yeah, using coins.
Yeah.
And I show my son a payphone booth these days, and he laughs. He does not believe that people make calls from there.
People did that.
Why would they do it when they've got mobile phones?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So there's that. I suppose. Do you want me to go on with what?
Yeah. Like, what are some other, like, as a tech company, I think what helps you predict where the industry is going is really understanding some of the past and some of the changes that really actually worked. And so that gives you some sort of semblance of like, okay, this is where it will probably go in the future.
Yeah.
So any other like historical events, things that you noticed over time that were like a big thing, maybe in Australia, maybe in the US?
Well, I mean, recently, I think one of the newer trends is 360. But if I had to name a few, the invent of an aggregator online where you can sell an online marketplace, let's call it that. We have the digital camera, kind of turned things around. The mobile phone was huge in revolutionising the office space. I think, you know, to an extent, email, which came along with the internet, was a huge player in that as well. And then you've got the tools that come with the internet, like CRMs, and they've progressed. You know, what we can now do on the internet, all the way through to AI, where we have predictive analysis telling us which lead is going to be available because Mrs. Smith down the road has bought 3 buckets of paint, a couple of throw rugs, and a shovel, and she may be renovating her house. So please give that lady a call as the local agent and introduce yourself, which sounds spooky, but that's kind of where we are.
It's in the spirit of being helpful, right?
Yeah, another invention that I think it was priceless was Adobe Acrobat's optical character recognition. In a market where people talk about AI waiting for the greatest thing to come out, still the best artificial intelligence development ever was the optical character recognition for contracts, where I can scan a contract into a printer and it will recognize the text that's on there. It will recognize, and you know, we talk about AI in tech spaces all the time, but we've missed, it's been around since '91. So
there's one of the guys I'm interviewing, he was actually doing AI, worked for an artificial intelligence company, and was a consultant for artificial intelligence back in 1998.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't even believe it. I thought it was new.
Yeah.
I thought it was 3 years old, 2 years old.
Well, yeah, and that, the crazy thing is it has been around, and you know, that was a huge, anyone who's been in the industry as long as I have will know what a pain it was to fax contracts back and forwards. Some contracts were unreadable, they have to be posted. You know, the fax machine was only really used after I got in as well, because we were posting everything manually. Yeah. That was the only way a signature was recognised in Australia. So I think I've seen a few come and go. And
now let's segue. It's a good segue into Box Brownie.
Yeah.
Right. So there's it's a cool tech, cool service. Why don't you give a high level of what Box Brownie is?
Yeah. So we're like, I mean, I liked what you called us before. I forget the term, but it was like something to do with porn for photos.
Oh yeah, property porn.
Yeah, property porn. We probably keep that down a bit. We'll call it Botox for your real estate photos.
Yeah.
It's more, a lot of what we do is modification of images to suit a purpose to get a sale. So at the very basis, that could be an agent's taking a really rubbish photo with their iPhone, and we see a lot of that. We enhance that. So I'll talk Canadian dollars. We do that for $2 and it returns overnight. So we go sort of from there to a Twilight Conversion, where we take a daytime shot and we convert that to Twilight. That's a $5 edit and comes back to you overnight as well.
Before you talk about more of the services, I want to talk about this overnight thing, this guaranteed 24-hour delivery, how Box Brownie has been built to be able to do that, because that I don't want to gloss over that. That seems like it's pretty and crazy that you guys are able to do what you do in 24 hours.
Yeah, it is, and I suppose that was a learning curve for us at the start. So we're roughly, we're about 5 years old, but only 3 years really under the current system that we have, which was the more effective one. We had a couple of goes at it in the first place before I got on board. The two owner-founders.
What were do you know what the early stuff was? Like the attempts that didn't work?
Yeah, we had an app. It really didn't work because the iPhone quality wasn't up to standard. Now maybe an app might come into play because you know, the X and the Samsung S9 are fantastic cameras in their own right.
DSLR. I do 4K.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
on this thing.
So you know, that may be a play that we do now. Certainly, you can even take a photo now and upload it yourself. So that functionality is pretty much there. Also, Vanity Edits was something else we were trying, like breast augmentation, thigh gaps, tummy tucks, things like that. And
for people.
And it's on the line of, it was so subjective. It's a bit like wedding photography. We don't really enhance images for wedding photography because we all know how many bridezillas are out there and what they want done for their photos will be different depending on what it is.
I have not been happy so far with what I should look like on these interviews. I need to work out a little bit.
We can fix that. No, look, so they were some of our false starts, and we really didn't get it right until the product changed to a real estate perspective, and a lot of that are based on the things that we found that weren't working in Australia. You know, some of the products I mentioned and some other ones that we have in there. Coming back to your original question, which was scale, you know, that was a really hard learning curve because we're all manually edited. So every time someone uploads an image to us, there is a person who will edit that. This is not artificial intelligence.
And did you have a team of outsource, like did you have a team of people in different time zones in order to make that 24 hours work?
Yeah, well that is the key, because we, effectively what we created has nothing to do with property, even though it has a property front. What we've created is a Uber-like platform for graphic designers who want a job and they put their hand up. They've been approved. We know they can do the job. They get a rating based on the job, and on we go. So they're geo non-specific, which is a fancy way of saying they can be anywhere. They can be in Canada, they can be in America, they can be throughout Asia Pacific, they can be in Europe, UK, anywhere in the world. And when they're ready to work, they just put their hands up and say, I'm ready for a job, and a job is assigned to them in a queue. So really simplistic platform. So coming back to the scale issues, the first time we really had a major article written about us, we ground to a halt. Great problem to have, but how do you solve that? And we did that by developing algorithms that dictated where our maximum and operational capacity we were at. And so when we were approaching over our operational capacity, we would onboard new editors who would be waiting in the wings and already trained. So really simplistic way of looking at it. Yeah.
I mean, because if you get a big partnership, a company says, hey, like agents should not be doing this themselves. They should be doing it. Yeah. The rates, I was pretty impressed with the rates. They're really, they're not bad at all. And now sometimes I was looking at the rendering, and maybe we can talk about some of the cool services, the virtual staging, the rendering, where you're taking a blank commercial space or a blank house and you're totally staging it out, or you're taking something that doesn't look very nice and you're actually having to remove some things and clean things up. So that one costs a little bit more, and so I'm like, okay, so when a realtor is listing a house and they have their commission they're now going to spend some money on to make it look great. Talk to me about what you hear from customers about the price points and the kind of customers you work with as a result.
Yeah, we rarely hear that it's expensive. Generally it's bang on. And to be quite frank, we continue to drop our prices. So one of the things that you mentioned is removing all the rubbish from a house. Like you walk into a tenant's house, for the record, as a company, we don't do anything that's unethical. Like we don't. That doesn't mean our clients don't ask us to. So, in the area of staging, for example, we will only add furniture and decor. Whereas, if we were unconscionable, we'd be adding chandeliers and built-in cupboards. So by default, we adhere to ethical standards. There are a lot of MLSs. They all have different ethical standards. There's not any that I'm aware of that we don't do in all products except for virtual renovation. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Back to your question, it depends on the product. So, the idea of, what clients say about our product. In the area of staging, we were pioneers. It started out at $96. Oh, this is American. Started out at $100 Canadian, ended up at $40 Canadian, and that continues to be the industry leader for the product.
How did you get it cheaper?
Scale, simply scale. But also in that process, I suppose the other way we did is we devised different ways of delivering the product in our back end. So a lot of the issues that people will have with stages on Fiverr, who are doing very similar prices, it's called Fiverr, but they're delivering it at $40, is that they are cut and pasting from Photoshop. Whereas we don't do that. We have CGI editors, guys who are using proper 3D programs to actually render a sofa rotated in there and get the perspective right by measuring the floor to ceiling, measuring the windows. So developing the product to that extent so that we know we're not misrepresenting a house by putting a couch that's big or small was really, really important.
When you say developing the product, is there actually some tech in your system that allows all your editors to do it this way, or is it you've learned the craft using programs maybe like Adobe or something out there, and then you just have really good training to develop to designers who then have your standard of excellence?
It's a combination of all of that. So in some instances it's tech. We offer a product called Virtual Renovation, and that is a great example of where tech has made it efficient. It's not a single editor that will touch tech. It'll go through multiple hands. Sorry, it's not a single editor that will touch virtual renovation. It will go through multiple hands. So that is a great example of tech. Some of the training will be more specific in areas like image enhancement and Twilight Conversion, where we have to train the editors into what we expect, the quality that we expect. You know, different things. If you outsource a Twilight Conversion to the Philippines, you'll get a purple Batman is coming sunset, because that's what they see over there. But in Canada, you don't have the purple Batman is coming to get you, or it's Halloween and someone's about to get stabbed in the room, you know, a horrendous red sunset.
So is that to say that, like, when you design stuff in different geographic areas, because you guys operate in so many places, you actually have to take into consideration what is it that the people in that region know as night, day, the type of furniture
is a great one.
all that stuff.
Furniture's a great one.
Yeah, so you guys must have, like, that's knowledge. That's art, not was it proprietary knowledge? Not proprietary, but industry trade knowledge that someone just can't snap their fingers and just.
No, it would make it very hard, I think, for a competitor to come on the market in that area, because the amount of education we've had from clients themselves as to what they want is huge. The amount of education we've had to furniture stylings, what different MLSs want, the difference between, you know, Texas, who won't allow us to add grass to an image, as opposed to San Francisco, where you could add it where it would feasibly be added. So, you know, these different areas.
So the MLSs really do have different standards, and you play to those standards, because you're like, hey, if this is your standard, I'm going to do whatever I can to help my client get the best photo.
Well, our intention, like my background is ethical marketing, so I don't believe that you should ever present a property that's falsely inflated. So we're not really in any of these edits changing the property materially from what it actually is. Image enhancement, for example, is quite often confused for that, because people believe that we somehow make it prettier. I think the only thing we actually change is the sky from being grey to blue. Now, there's not a place in the world that doesn't have blue sky on some days. If you live in Chicago, it's grey most of the time. So, you know, the fact that I know that is industry knowledge. Now, coming back to where it's at, image enhancement is to return the photo quality to what the eye sees. And a great example of that is when you take an internal photo looking outside a window. There's not a camera that you have in the world that can do that in a single shot, because there's an outside light source and there's an inside light source. And what our eyes do is they automatically adjust to that. So we can look out and see it, but that comes across to everything in every room. We return in image enhancement, we return the picture quality to what the eye would see. So
all that stuff, and this is the reason why when I looked at the photos, I was like, these are really good photos. And it's not like you're like totally changing this room from what it is. You're just really, the lighting and the shading and the, like, all that stuff. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I mean, the point I'd really like to hammer home is that we just don't want to be deceptive in what in the way we go about our business. That doesn't mean agents don't want to do that. Like, we'll get agents asking us to take down the trees that are in front of the house. And to me, if you're doing that as an agent, you're an idiot, because someone's going to get there and go, there are trees out the front. So, you know.
I saw they were moving the cars. That was smart. I mean, that's fine, because those cars are not
they don't
always
exist,
there.
You know, tenants' property.
What's the future like? Do you guys have any plans for new services, new technologies that'll make you even better at it, or more efficient, more effective? Like,
well, we're already the only ones offering editing of 360 photography. Now, you guys all falsely call that virtual tours. They're not virtual tours. They're 360 photography tours. So at the moment, there's not an MLS that I'm aware of that really understands the difference between the terms.
So Matterport, you would say,
it is a 360 photography tour.
360 photography, ImmoViewer, 360 photography.
Yep, correct.
Not
a virtual tour.
Okay.
A virtual tour is one that happens in virtual reality. So the house doesn't exist. Point of difference. It's something we've never
Buzzwords, come on.
Something we've never gotten about the North American market.
Yeah, I love it, the reality of it.
Yeah, but we're the only ones editing that as far as we know. We can enhance the images same as we would do to a digital still. We can stage them. Yep. So, and we think that, you know, in the next 10 years, that will be the big change that you see in marketing, is it will be immersive to the extent that, you know, we're not too far from offering theatres where people can go to and high resolution projectors project what the house is, and you can walk through that house in real time, and the projectors will move you through the house as though you are walking. Yeah. Or for all I care, you could be on a treadmill and walk, and then the scene would change at the same time, as opposed to wearing goggles where you've got Mr. and Mrs. Smith and they're both wearing goggles, and one says, how about this kitchen? But the other guy's already checking out the garage. Yeah. You could do that as a couple, and the implications of that are endless. You could do that using video, high res 4 to 8K feeds. You could get video footage during the day, during twilight, at night, if you so wanted. You could include sound to be part of that soundscape. We haven't figured out how to introduce smell, but you know, that may be a possibility along the way as well. Yeah. But you know, let's just deal what we've got for the second. Imagine the possibilities for showing a house that exists in China to an American buyer, or vice versa. You know, one that is in America to a Chinese.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you?
Well, we have a website.
Yeah.
It's boxbrownie.com, if you did catch onto that. And in whichever country you may be viewing this from, there are contact details on there. There's a 24/7 helpline or chat line. There's a phone number at the top that's local to whichever area you're in. hello@boxbrownie.com will get you there. And my name's Peter. I have an email address, peter@boxbrownie.com. So it's the best way to contact me. So feel free to shoot me an email and tell me how rubbish I was on this. Or
yeah. Well, hey, you know, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube show and the podcast, Real Estate Moguls. You can learn more from people who have been in the industry for a long time, who have amazing perspective, amazing insights, because we got lots of really cool guests. But thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you for having me. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, cool.
Cheers.